Okay, picture this. One of humanity's very first cities. We're talking a bustling metropolis, thousands of people, thriving 9,000 years ago. Now, what if I told you this city had a feature so strange, so completely unexpected, that it rewrites everything we thought we knew about urban living? Let's dive in.
Right? That's the central puzzle of Çatalhöyük. It sounds impossible. No roads, no alleyways, no public squares. So how in the world did anyone get around? Well, the answer is as ingenious as it is bizarre, and it really challenges our entire concept of what a city is supposed to look like.
So here's our game plan. We'll start by exploring this absolutely radical city plan. Then, we're going to climb down inside their homes to see what daily life was actually like. From there, we'll uncover their art and beliefs, get a handle on how their economy worked, and finally, look at the incredible legacy this ancient settlement left behind for all of us. All right, first things first. To really get a grasp on this place, you've got to throw out the modern blueprint for a city. I mean, just toss it out the window. Let's look at the wild design they came up with.
So, Çatalhöyük wasn't just another village. It was a monumental leap forward for humanity. We're talking about 9,500 years ago, in what's now modern-day Turkey. People decided to stop wandering and build something permanent, something huge. This was one of the world's first real experiments in large-scale community living.
And this is where the design gets truly mind-bending. Think about any city you've ever seen. Now flip it completely upside down. Where we have streets, they had a continuous network of rooftops. Where we have front doors, they had holes in the ceiling and ladders. And get this, their defense wasn't some big wall around the city. The city was the wall, a solid, basically impenetrable block of houses pushed together.
So if the outside of the city was this solid communal block, what about the inside? What was life like in the private spaces? Let's climb down from those rooftops and step into the incredibly intimate world of a Neolithic home.
Seriously, just try to picture your morning commute here. You wouldn't be grabbing your car keys and heading for the front door. Nope, you'd climb a ladder, pop out onto your roof, walk across a whole sea of other people's rooftops, and then climb down another ladder to visit your neighbor. The entire city's social life was happening on a second level, completely up in the air.
And once you climb down that ladder, you'd find a remarkably standardized and pretty comfortable space. The houses were all very similar, rectangular rooms with these clean, white plastered walls. They had special areas for cooking, with built-in ovens, and raised platforms that were their beds, their chairs, their workstations, everything. And these weren't just basic shelters, they were canvases for some really vibrant art.
But here's maybe the most profound detail of all. What was lying right beneath their feet? They didn't have separate cemeteries. The family members who passed away were buried right there, under the very platforms where the living slept and worked. It's such a powerful statement about keeping your ancestors as a physical part of the household, a constant presence in daily life. You know, that deep connection to family and ancestors, it really hints at a much larger social and spiritual world. So what did these people believe, and how did they actually organize themselves into a society?
This is where Çatalhöyük gets even more fascinating. Archaeologists have found practically no evidence of a ruling class. The houses are all pretty much the same size. There's no king's palace, no governor's mansion. There aren't any huge central temples controlled by a special class of priests. It seems to have been a remarkably equal society, where ritual and social life were shared among all the households, not concentrated in the hands of a powerful few.
And that shared culture was expressed everywhere. Their homes were basically art galleries. The walls were covered in these dynamic murals. You'd see intense hunting scenes, powerful animals, and all sorts of cool geometric designs. This wasn't just decoration. This was their history, their mythology, their connection to the world, all playing out on their living room walls.
And a couple of symbols show up again and again. First, the bull. We see their horns and sculpted heads mounted right on the walls, probably as symbols of power or nature's strength. The second is that famous mother goddess figurine, a full-bodied female form that many experts believe represents fertility, birth, and the great cycle of life itself.
Okay, so you have this city of thousands of people, all living literally on top of each other. How did they feed themselves? How did they possibly build a sustainable economy?
Well, the foundation was agriculture. These were skilled farmers and herders, no doubt about it. They grew staple crops like wheat and barley, and they were some of the first to domesticate animals like sheep and goats. This steady, reliable food source was the engine that allowed this huge settled community to exist and thrive for nearly 2,000 years.
But farming wasn't their only economic trick. They had an ace up their sleeve, a local resource that was like the Silicon Valley of the Stone Age, obsidian. This black volcanic glass could be broken to create incredibly sharp edges, making it the absolute best material for tools and weapons before metal came along. It was the high-tech stuff of its day.
And their location was everything. Çatalhöyük was situated right next to major sources of this obsidian. This gave them control over a vital commodity, turning their city into a massive center for industry and trade that connected them to communities hundreds of miles away. These people were not just farmers, they were innovators and powerful traders.
But as we know, all cities have a lifespan. After almost 2,000 years of incredible success, the story of Çatalhöyük came to an end. So let's take a look at its decline and its amazing legacy.
The city's journey is just remarkable. It was founded around 7500 BCE, hit its peak about 1,000 years later, and then, for reasons we're still figuring out, it was abandoned around 5700 BCE. It just lay hidden for millennia until it was rediscovered in the 1950s, and today it's rightly recognized as a priceless piece of our shared human story.
So why did they leave? We don't know for sure, but their unique design might have been part of the problem. Living so closely packed together, with trash and waste being a constant challenge, probably led to serious issues with sanitation and the spread of disease. It's also possible that climate change or social stress played a part.
Ultimately, though, the lesson of Çatalhöyük is profound. It reminds us that civilization wasn't just handed down by gods or kings. It was built from the ground up, or in this case, from the rooftop down, by ordinary people figuring out through trial and error how to cooperate, create meaning, and build a real community.
And that leaves us with a final thought, doesn't it? In our world of sprawling suburbs and often isolated apartments, what can we learn from a city without streets? A city where community was built so densely and so intimately that your neighbor's roof was literally your sidewalk. It's a question worth thinking about.